everybody. Welcome to the Austin's Audit Podcast. I'm your host, Austin Gerke, and this is the Tuesday edition of the show. Going to be a little quick. It's almost like taking your pills if you got a headache. Just pop in a couple Tums and quick. All of a sudden, within 6 hours, your headache will be over. Well, for this episode, it's going to be almost 2 hours and done because there ain't a whole lot to cover right now. Hockey's still not giving an update on when it'll officially get started, but they need to soon. Give you a recap of yesterday's game, which was complete and utter garbage. Let's see. I know I keep doing the thing, because remember, giving you transparency of the show here, just kind of running through here. Give you an update on what's going on in college basketball and a couple news stories. In fact, the Ravens are getting everybody... They're slowly getting people back from the COVID list. They're not adding to the list. They're decreasing on the list. Which means more likely than not, that means tomorrow's game will actually happen between the Steelers and the Ravens. And what else? That's it. Yep, that's practically it. So sit back, relax, and enjoy it. This quick debrief. I wouldn't even call it an episode, but enjoy it anyway. Since I considered this more of a debrief, not much of an episode, I'm just going to go through these stories really quickly. We're going to end the updates in college basketball really quickly, so you might need to, if you need to pause and understand what I was trying to get at first, we're going to go through the NFL first. With last night's game, the Seahawks beat the Eagles 23-17. That game wasn't even close. In fact, for most of that, it was 23-9. Philly got a touchdown late, went for two, got it to within 6. Made it interesting if you have an interest, and there's like a tiebreaker scenario in there, but really that was Seattle's game to win regardless. Let's see the stat lines just in case you're wondering. For all you fantasy nerds, Russell Wilson went 22-31, threw for 230 and a touchdown. While Carson Wentz, on the other hand, went 25 of 45, threw for 215 yards, threw for 2 touchdowns, and 1 interception. And he got sacked, 8 times? So now he's been sacked 48 times on the year, which leads the NFL, which is not a stat you want to lead in. But there is one solace for you Philly fans. He'll still be your starter because I don't understand why you think Jalen Hurts will be that much better. If Carson Wentz can get sacked 48 times, and he's got some mobility too, he may not have the quick and the jump and the bolt like Jalen Hurts does or did, if you're the skeptic like me. But Carson Wentz is still your franchise, guys, up there in Philly. It is, I'm sorry. I mean, what can you really say? As far as the other news, the Ravens get 4 more guys off the COVID list. Not on it, 4 of them off it. There could be 2 more heading into Wednesday. Remember the breaking news as of yesterday's episode. The game got moved to Wednesday, which is, okay, fine. At least you're going to play the game, maybe. Which alters 2 other games. The Cowboys-Ravens game will now be on Tuesday. Talking about Week 13 now. The Cowboys-Ravens matchup will now be on Tuesday. And the Steelers and Redskins game, the Washington football team will be it'll be on Monday afternoon at 5 Eastern, 2 Pacific. And yes, I did not mean to say Redskins, okay? People are going to get butthurt if you're listening to this outside of my California bubble here. Well, actually, people inside the California bubble will get more offended than the people outside of it. But it is the Washington football team that will play the Steelers on Monday afternoon next week. The game tomorrow between the Steelers and Ravens will be on at 12:40 out west anyway, 3:40 in the east. And there's an interesting story as to why they chose 12:40 because, oh my God, the Christmas tree lighting in Rockefeller Center is going to be on too, and we can't just get rid of that programming, which, by the way, is a tree lighting ceremony. Grow up. Did any of you see the tree that they pulled out for this tree lighting ceremony? It is the ugliest looking tree I've ever seen. Seriously, they took it out, was it 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago? At least before the election. So, somewhere in that range. That tree is just so dang ugly. And yet you want... NBC has to do a juggling act to go, well, shoot. Let's work with the NFL and make this game on at 12 or 3:40 Eastern. Because, God forbid, we can't show a tree lighting ceremony later on in the day. What the hell is that? What the H-E-double-L, baby? Yes, I said hell. You can always bleep that out. But, actually, no, you can't. But, anyway, what does that have to do with anything? Absolutely nothing. The Broncos, all of their quarterbacks, or at least 3. Let's check out the news story again. But, you know, the team that was allowed to play without a quarterback, 3 of them are back on, by the way. Locke, Bortles, and Rippon are all going to be eligible to play in their game this coming weekend. So, the NFL freaked out over nothing. They let a team play without a quarterback, and now they're doing scheduling gymnastics again. And tomorrow's game's going to be on at 12:40 out west, 3:40 in the east. Every other time zone, you know what to do. I'm not even going to bug with that. Let's see. Tree lighting ceremony. Me. Okay, now let's get to the college basketball updates. Remember, I'm just going fast and furious here. No music intros, no nothing. Just kind of like shooting BBs. Gotta go. All right, let's jump to college basketball. Open up the ESPN app once again. Look, people, when you hear this and you go, why does he choose ESPN? It ain't because I watch ESPN. I don't. I have not watched a single show on that network, really, since the Colin Kaepernick situation started. Remember the first iterations? That's when I switched to Fox. The only difference is Fox, as far as a sports network, is terrible at news. Terrible at news. ESPN is more like MSNBC, but you know what? At least they'll still provide the news when it's appropriate. All right, so let's get to the college basketball stuff right now. This is only in the top 25. If you want me to go into the other ones, I can, but I'm just focusing on the top 25 right now. Wisconsin is beating Green Bay 77-37. We got Villanova beating Hartford 87-53. Got Texas beat Indiana 66-44. Ooh, dang. Virginia beat St. Francis 76-51. North Carolina beat Stanford 67-63. Sorry, there's a washer going on behind me, so if you hear that rumble, that's why. Villanova beats Hartford 87-53, but which leaves only 2 games on, and those games are going to start, where is it, 4:30? What time is it now? It is 3:44, so it'll be under an hour here. We got Michigan State, Duke, and Kansas and Kentucky. The battle of the KU schools and UK schools. Go Blue, Kentucky over Kansas, and Duke over Michigan State. Those are my picks for tonight's games. Remember, Duke over Michigan State and Kansas over Kentucky. So that's the rumble through. Got news. Bang, 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 bang. If you need it, you can always replay this again. But I told you, this was going to be a brief. It was just going to be whoop, whoop, done. And if I threw in the opinions, then you'd be fine too. But there we go. Picks for tonight: Kansas over Kentucky. Or no, Kentucky over Kansas and Duke over Michigan. Baltimore is coming back from their little COVID outbreak, and so is Denver. Philly is not so hot, but I still believe in Carson Wentz. And like I said yesterday in Recap Monday, Washington's going to win this division. And I should have reiterated that yesterday, but as far as the NFC East goes, because the NFL Network's got a piece up right now NFL.com has a piece up right now where they're trying to figure out which one of those 4 NFC East teams has the best chance of making the playoffs. Only one will. And you know who that one is? See, at the beginning of this, I had Dallas winning that division with at least 10 wins. But now, Washington's going to end up winning that division. They're going to end up winning that division, fair and square. Because Alex Smith is the better quarterback. And, oh yeah, I was lying about the noise. It's not a washer that's going on back there. It's a shower. So, it's a shower in the room next to mine. But still, we're all good here. Let's see. I know that sounds really it sounds all jumbled together. But believe me or not, that's what I went through. The Ravens are getting back from COVID. You have the predictions for tonight, which games are under an hour away from starting, and updates of any of the games that already happened. And what else? I think that's it. Oh, well, yeah, and the COVID news. So that's about it. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow where we'll actually get to recap the college football playoff rankings in their second reveal. But that's for tomorrow, and I'll see you guys then. Peace out. Thank you for listening to the Austin's Audit Podcast. I've been your host, Austin Gerke. Don't forget to follow this show on Podbean. Just search for the Austin's Audit Podcast. You can also listen to the show on Spotify, Google, Apple if you know the trick, Deezer, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and Amazon Music as well. So next time you're on your Alexa-enabled device, just say, "Hey Alexa, play the Austin's Audit Podcast on Amazon Music." You can also follow me on Twitter. My handle's at Austin_Gerke for post-show interaction. You can also leave comments for the show on the show's Facebook page. Just search for the Austin's Audit Podcast. And if you are not a fan of the mainstream social media, that includes Facebook, Alphabet, Google, so YouTube, Facebook, Alphabet, Google, and Twitter. You can follow me or this show on Parler, whichever one, which I end up posting a lot of the show's content on Parler. But the handle, anyway, speaking of which, is capital A, and then the rest of this is lowercase, so hear this out. Capital A, D, G-E-R-K, pod 14. Or 14 pod. No, it's 14 pod. So, one more time. That is capital A. This is the Parler handle. Capital A. And then the rest of this is lowercase. D, G-E-R-K, pod 14. That's how you follow this show on Parler. You can also get the ironic video version of this show. Yes, I call it ironic because this is an audio platform and there is no way you should be... I don't understand why you put an audio thing on a video platform, but I do. You can follow this show on Rumble as well. Remember, in the search bar of Rumble, there is a drop-down menu that has videos first. Click on that drop-down menu. Go to channels and then type in capital A. The rest of the letters are lowercase. D. And then my last name, which is G. E-H-R-K-E. That's how you find this show on Rumble as well. Other than that, I know I keep saying that phrase too, but that's literally all I have to say. Got Twitter, Facebook. That's practically it. I'll see you guys tomorrow where I'll give you my reactions to the second revealing of the college football playoff rankings. and other news stories that I missed today. But until then, I'll see you guys tomorrow. You've been listening to the Austin's Audit Podcast, and I've been your host, Austin Gerke. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.